We're all in business for a reason. The problem that so many small business owners have is that they go in 10 million different directions, not really sure which way to go. Listen as your team of experts, Jennifer Glass, Daniel McCraine, and Patricia Reszetylo, go through what you need in your business to really make it stand out and benefit you. Because it's the bottom line that matters.
Hello and welcome to another episode of It's the Bottom Line That Matters podcast. We are dedicated to your success. If this is the first time listening, thank you so much for checking us out. And if you are returning, thank you so much for your loyal listenership. As we talk about our episode for today, which is going to be cash flow forecasting for non-finance people, there's so much that we need to be talking about. We spoke about last time the cash flow as an idea in terms of the overall revenue that we look at in our business. We spoke about some other aspects that we think about when it comes to operating our business and really looking at the numbers that we have in our business. One of the really important pieces, though, of our business is having the ability to really forecast correctly. And sometimes, just like if you watch the weather on television, the weather forecast can be spot on and it can be wildly different from the actual, well, it's raining when they said it was supposed to be clear, or it's snowing when they said it's supposed to be raining, or whatever else it may be. Obviously, forecasting, we are exactly that, trying to tell the future. But there is a way, though, looking at numbers, having a better understanding of where that might be going in that regard for our businesses. So Daniel, Patricia, as I welcome the two of you in on the conversation, let me ask you, first of all, when it comes to forecasting, what do you typically do for your own business before we talk about anything else?
So I haven't done a whole lot of forecasting. Even for my personal business, I haven't. I will be doing more of that this year. I have also done only some preliminary forecasting for the real estate project that I am working on. But that's been interesting. For the restaurant piece of that, I was able to get some numbers from one of the restaurant supply companies and use that to kind of give me a feel for volume. So that was that's as much as I've done really so far. Daniel, you've done more than I have.
Yeah. Well, before we get into accounting methods, accrual versus cash, what I do in my business is something I learned from a business mentor. He was an insurance salesperson, and what he did was he kept a spreadsheet, just very simple. He learned this from a mentor himself way back in the day, so you can imagine it was probably on paper. But when he would sell a life insurance product, sometimes for some of those carriers, you get so much of your commission now right away, and then the rest of the commission kind of drips out a little bit over the next several months or over the rest of the year, whatever that is. So what he would do is he would create another line in his spreadsheet for that next sale. He would write down what the commission was going to be for that sale, the upfront commission, and then he would, trickle it out over the next several months, write out what he expected to get for the next several months. And that way, what he could do is he could tally everything up in that month and see how much he expected to have come in from those residual commissions. And then he would know how short he was going to be. How many sales did he have to make 3 months from now? Because he expected to make so much money from those residual commissions. Well, that helped him figure out how active he needed to be in sales now to get ready to make that sale 3 months from now? Who did he need to start talking to? Who did he need to start nurturing and working with? So I just thought that was a great tool. So I started doing that myself. I would do that with my coaching and consulting clients. And if they were paying so much per month, I would go ahead and put that in there. When I added another line to my business that was standalone sales, one-off sales, no residuals, no runouts, I would put that in there. If I expected to get the sale next month, I would put that in there for next month. I finally realized I could add financing to what I was doing. I could break it down into payments over several months. And so I do that. I put that in there, 4 months, 5 months, however long it's going to be. So same thing. I can look next month, 2 months out, 4 months out, 6 months out. How much am I expecting to get in that month? And how many sales am I going to need to make up so that I can hit my monthly goal for that many months out? So that's just something that I do. What I learned from my mentor about how you can start to do some cash flow forecasting. So you're going to have this money coming in already, or you're going to be short, and what are you going to do about it?
One thing
Yeah.
I wanted before Patricia, we, move on from here is I wanted just to clarify residuals. And just like you might assume, but we're not going to assume that anyone knows, residuals are income that comes in based on past activity. So, as Daniel was mentioning in the insurance world, somebody pays their insurance policy, the insurance person earns residual when that person is making their insurance payment on the policy, whether it's the annual renewal or the monthly payment, however it may work on the back end with the person's payout. For me and my credit card processing business, I get monthly residuals when my clients are processing. And so, again, it's that kind of similar idea that allows you to be thinking about that passive income with residuals as part of that process. But let me move on though. When we talk about forecasting, right? And Daniel, you mentioned, like you said, putting it into a sheet and then just watching actual versus estimated inbound income that's coming in based on that sheet. If you're trying to make that assumption, right? And again, everything is an assumption when it comes down to the forecasting. And Patricia was mentioning with the restaurant business that she was forecasting certain sales based on what she was able to get from the restaurant supply company that was telling her, right, you can assume X number of people at a table per hour, X number of people per day overall in terms of the bar or whatever it may be to get a total number that would then be in a position to then say, okay, fine, this is what it is. But if we're trying to really look a little bit more other than just in a business plan, because right now from Patricia's side, that's purely what that is. It's speculative in a business plan setting as opposed to realistic. Are there other things that we need to be taking into account in those forecasts that can really help us get a more valid forecast instead of well, if this all works, I might get $10,000 next month, or I might get $200,000 next month, or realistically, I might get, 15, but that's playing it more conservatively in terms of the overall process.
Well, I mentioned accounting method a moment ago. So if you're using the accrual accounting method in your business, that's a little bit easier because then you know how much you've invoiced. So that invoice may have payment terms, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, something like that. So you can look at the invoices that you've put out, and you can then also see how far away are they from the due date. So you can begin to estimate that way a little bit too. We should be getting this much money next month and this much the next month, this much the next month. So that accrual method is one way that you could look at some cash forecasting. If you're using the cash method of accounting in your business, you can still do that. You can still run reports on unpaid invoices and when you expect those to come in. But the reporting is a little bit different. So you just have to keep that in mind. You may have to go to a different place in your accounting software to look at those reports.
Absolutely. And like you said, maybe a different place that you got to look at, but there are ways that you can still be paying attention to that. And then, as Daniel again mentioned, with the accrual versus cash basis in accounting, understand that here in the United States, the IRS allows you to select the method of how you are reporting the income that you make. However, you're limited in how often you can change that. So you can't say 1 year I want to go this way, the next year I want to go that way, because things are going to significantly be limited if you make certain changes with the government. And so it's there for you to take advantage of when it's appropriate, but understand what that might mean on the flip side. So let me ask the two of you as we wrap up our conversation on forecasting, is there anything else that we need to be aware of?
I just realized I did leave out the easiest way to forecast your cash flow. And that is if you've got some kind of a business that can have monthly recurring revenue. So if you've got clients who are on some kind of a subscription that they're making payments every month, then you just want to track at what point do they drop off. Sometimes with those subscriptions, you may find in your industry or in your business that people drop off after 3 months. They may drop off after six. They may off after 18 months. But that's one of the things you'll want to track. But having that monthly recurring revenue is a really easy way to do your cash forecasting.
Yeah.
Very, very important, like you said. And there is some psychological studies that have been done about how quickly people will drop off. And that's why you see a lot of folks are trying to get annual subscriptions instead of monthly subscriptions. Um, just wherever you go, they normally are pushing sign up for the annual because you're going to get a better deal because you typically will lose folks after 6 to 8 months on a monthly. And on annual, it's 2 to 3 years where you might first lose some folks. So just to keep that in mind. Patricia, any final thoughts on your side?
I had one, but I don't remember it now.
Okay. Then again, like we were saying, keep in mind again what you're doing with the forecasting, how it might make sense for you in your business, what you need to be looking at, and trying to really understand how to accurately predict what is going to be coming in. Don't just put down, oh yeah, well, I've got a meeting with somebody, it's a first meeting, and I'm going to assume that it's going to turn into a sale unless that's the kind of business you have. As an example, somebody comes in to get a haircut, you can assume that that's going to be a sale, but you cannot make an assumption in a general kind of business that somebody is going to sign up with you unless it is, again, historically speaking, one and done kind of sales. So think about what that means, how to forecast what the overall pricing is going to be for you and what your revenue is going to be off of that and the profit, like we spoke about last week. And then you'll have a much better handling on where you want to be going. On that note, this has been another episode of It's the Bottom Line That Matters. And until next time, here's to your success. Thanks so much for listening to another amazing episode of It's the Bottom Line That Matters podcast. We're all about helping the small business community grow and reaching as many people as we can. And the algorithms on the podcast programs love reviews. So if you loved what you just heard, consider leaving us a review. And even if you don't, I'm sure you already did, but consider sharing our episodes and our podcast with your friends and colleagues. Sharing is caring, and here's to your success. Thanks so much, and have a wonderful day.
It's the bottom line that matters.